Going within today. Here in my mind, I'ma be okay. A little love goes a long way. So I'm going within today. I'm going within today. Here in my mind, I'ma be okay. A little love goes a long way. So I'm going within today.
Hello, and welcome to the Going Within podcast. I am your host, Sheena C, and today's episode is Why Silence Feels Uncomfortable. I want to start with a little meditation. Before we begin, I want you to take a moment to settle in, quiet space, free from distractions, noise. And if you can, I would like you to gently close your eyes or simply soften your gaze. Take a slow breath in and release it slowly. I want you to allow your shoulders to relax. Release any tension in your jaw. I want you to let your body arrive. There's nowhere else you need to be right now. And this sacred space is yours. It's a space for you to slow down, a space to reflect, and a space for you to reconnect. And I would like to invite you to take another breath. And as you exhale, I want you to allow the noise of the outside world to fade right here, right now. You are simply just being. And when you're ready, let's go within. Okay, so you're listening to the Going With It podcast. I am your host, Sheena C, and I am so delighted to have you join us here today. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. This is a podcast about self-awareness, healing, and learning to trust your inner voice. In today's episode, we're talking about something many people avoid, something very simple yet very powerful, and that is silence. More specifically, why silence itself feels uncomfortable. And more importantly, what silence is actually trying to show us. Because silence is where we meet ourselves. So, let's begin. Now, most people don't realize this, but silence can feel very, very uncomfortable because silence removes distractions. And when distractions disappear, guess what? We are left with ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, our memories, our truths. Oh, that one. And sometimes that can feel very overwhelming, Think about how often we surround ourselves with noise. Music in the background, TV playing, even when we're not watching, scrolling through our phones, constant conversation. We just have to speak to someone or we don't feel right. podcast playing all day. Not because we always want to listen, but because silence feels very, very uncomfortable. And when silence appears, something very interesting happens. What happens is your mind becomes much, much louder. You have thoughts that begin to surface, and then you have feelings that you begin to notice. They begin to rise, right? And then suddenly we feel things that we didn't realize were there, right? And for many people, that's the very uncomfortable part about the silence. Because silence doesn't distract you, it reveals you. And with that, silence creates what we call awareness. And awareness in itself can feel very uncomfortable, especially when we've been avoiding certain emotions. For example, you might notice feelings of sadness, or maybe you suffer from anxiety, uncertainty, the unknown, not sure what's about to happen, or even restlessness, can't sleep. And sometimes silence makes us aware of things we've been pushing aside for days, for weeks, for months, even years. Maybe you've been ignoring stress. Maybe you've been avoiding a difficult decision that you have yet to make, but it has to be done. Maybe you've been holding on to emotions that you haven't even processed yet. Silence doesn't create these feelings. It simply gives them the space to be brought up into the surface, right? And then what happens is that when these things come to the surface, it can feel very uncomfortable, yes, but very unfamiliar, so to speak. Because one thing about us humans is that we're so used to keeping ourselves busy, right? But I want to share something very important with you today, that silence is not your enemy. Okay, it's more of an invitation. It's an invitation for you to listen to yourself, to understand who you are, to reconnect with the greater divine that lives within you. And there is a discomfort that comes with being alone with yourself. That's another reason silence feels uncomfortable to you, is because it means being alone with yourself. Oh, I don't want to be alone. I'm lonely. I don't want to be by myself. And for many people, that's not something they're used to, which is understandable. Some people grew up where they always have family around them. They always have people around them. They always have people to speak with. And they're rarely ever by themselves with enough time for them to really bask into the silence. And we live in a world that encourages constant stimulation as well. We have social media, constant interaction, constant productivity. I got to do this and I got to do that. And constant movement. But what happens is, with silence, it slows everything down. And when everything slows down, we begin to what? We begin to notice ourselves. We notice what we're thinking, our thoughts. We notice our emotions. We notice the patterns and routines that we have. And then sometimes we don't always like what we see at first. And that's the scary part. And that's the uncomfortable part. Not because something is wrong per se, but because awareness is something that's new for a lot of people. have never learned what awareness is or how to even be aware. Okay? So it's like turning on a light in a room that's been dark. At first, it feels uncomfortable, like, whoa, your eyes has to adjust. But then you begin to see clearly what it is that's around you. Okay? And it's important to understand that silence is also where your intuition lives. Your inner voice doesn't shout. It doesn't yell, "Hey, what's up?" It whispers, "Hello, I am here." But when life is loud, right, it's very, very easy to miss those whispers. Very, very easy. Because, think about it. If someone is whispering something to you, you're going to be like, huh? What? And then you have loud music playing in the background. You're not going to hear a thing. You're just going to see their mouth move, their lips moving. You're not going to hear anything that they're saying because the loudness of the music in the background overpowers the whispers that they're trying to relay to you. So when life gets loud, though, it's time to when you're going into a silent into oh gosh, I'm mixing up my thoughts. When you're going into silence from the loudness, when everything quiets down, okay, your intuition will become easier to hear. That's just a fact. Clock it. Right? It becomes easier to hear. That's just, plain old logic. You might suddenly realize that something is there. You might gain some clarity about a certain situation that you've been, experiencing. You might feel more guided towards a certain decision that you've had to make. You might even feel a sense of peace and clarity. And that is why silence is so powerful and should not be something that you fear. Right? Because it creates the space for you. And when you're in that space, your inner voice will emerge. That's just fact. That's the order. Okay? You have to become silent first, though, and then your inner voice becomes louder. You gotta close your lips and open your ears spiritually. Now, have you, the listener, ever tried to try sitting quietly, and then you suddenly felt like really restless? Maybe it's like you're a crack fiend or something. You like itching to reach for your phone, and you feel bored and uncomfortable, and you feel the urge to get up. You got to do something. Well, that restlessness is normal. We all go through that. None of us is exempt. Okay? It happens because we're so used to constant stimulation. We constantly keeping ourselves busy. We got to go to work. We got to take care of the kids. We got to go to practice. We got to go do this. We got to wash dishes. We constantly have motion, right? Our minds become so conditioned to constant activity. So what happens is that when silence appears, it feels unfamiliar. Like, what is this? This is strange. However, over time, silence will become more comfortable. That's the beauty. And it's something that you want to put into practice daily, right? Something beautiful will begin to happen at that moment. You start to enjoy your own presence more. You start to feel calm and stillness. You start to find peace in the quiet And then slowly but surely, silence will become a place of comfort for you. That's what happened to me. Silence is now my comfort place. I love solitude. That is the best, when I'm at my best, solitude. In my silence, where I can hear. It also allows your nervous system to relax. So if you have nervous system issues, your nervous system is constantly in uproar, that is where to start. It starts with silence. It tends to slow down your thoughts, you know what I mean? It calms your body down. It relaxes you. It brings you back to your center. Okay? You feel grounded. You begin to feel more present. You begin to feel more connected. And this is why when it comes to meditation, silence is often a part of deep meditation, because it's the silence that helps you return to yourself. There's no possible way that you could return to yourself in a relaxed state where your nervous system is calm if there's lots of noise going on around you. That doesn't make any sense. It has to be in silence. You begin to feel peace. Now, I want you to take a moment, okay, to practice this silence as you're listening to this podcast. I want you to take a moment to reflect. And I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in silence? Not scrolling, not doom scrolling on the internet, on social media, Facebook Reels, not listening to anything, no music, no podcast, nothing. Just being still, silent. And if it feels uncomfortable, I want you to ask yourself gently and lovingly, what am I feeling right now? What is this? What am I feeling right now? What thoughts are surfacing? What am I becoming aware of? There's no need to judge. This is a judgment-free zone. There's no need to judge. Just notice. Awareness is the beginning of going within yourself. That is the first step, is awareness. And I want to share something with you. Okay? I want to share something with you from a book called The 3 Magic Words by U.L.S. Anderson. It's one of my favorite books in the world. Okay? And I just want to read a passage with you, if you don't mind. It's titled Too Many Thoughts. It says, we humans think altogether too much on altogether too many things. In the space of a single moment, our minds may embrace a hodgepodge of unrelated ideas and half-formed conceptions such as could not be found on the printed page outside of the Encyclopedia Britannica. We jump helter-skelter from one idea to the next, unguided, unguarded, seizing on whatever is presented to us across the moving screen of mind and declaring it to be real. We start the subconscious mind moving in one direction, halt it, start it off in another, recall it, and then send it off again. Recall it literally hundreds of times each day. We have developed habits of absolutely undisciplined thinking, and very often where any discipline at all is present, it is aimed at negative thinking. One moment we are happy and entertain happy thoughts, then a shadow crosses the face of the sun, and we entertain unhappy thoughts. A friend pays us a compliment, and we feel important and vain. An acquaintance castigates us, and we entertain thoughts of resentment and bitterness. Always we wait for impetus from outside to determine what thoughts we will accept and which we will reject. And thus we become victims of every wind that blows and every twig that falls, and the temper of our lives is determined by countless unending streams of circumstances over which we have no control. Scarce, indeed, is the man who sets himself up to accept only certain thoughts and beliefs, and, firm in his faith and foundation, outweighs the world to achieve his ends. The sea and the mountain, the storm and the stars shall not persevere against such a man, and he shall move the very ends of the earth. So I just wanted to read that passage to you to get like a deeper understanding of how thoughts can influence our emotions, and to give contrast as to why silence is important, especially now today with everything that's going on in the world. Silence is very, very important. Trust me when I say this to you. Okay? It's very, very important. Please find some time in your day to be silent, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Okay? And I just want you to know that silence isn't empty, it's full. It's full of insight, it's full of clarity and awareness. And sometimes the answers that we're searching for, they're just waiting. They're just waiting for us to be silent. Okay? And so today I want to I want to challenge you this week, okay, to try something simple. Spend a few minutes in silence, no distractions, no expectations. Just sit down and listen. And you might be very, very surprised by what you discover. This is your assignment for this week. And then I would like you to leave a comment, like and subscribe to the podcast, and leave a comment. Leave a comment on our Facebook page, Going Within Podcast, and share with us your experience with what happened when you chose to be silent just for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. You can choose one day, or you can do it for the entire week, 10 to 15 minutes for each day of the week, however you choose to do it. And please share with us your experience, especially if you're a person who's not usually silent until you go to sleep, you know? And at that point, you're outside of your subconscious. You're in the other realm, dreaming away in the astral plane. But take some time out in your waking day while you're awake. It could be just as you get up, or it could be right before bed. Okay, and share your experience with us. We would love to hear what your experiences are. Now, I just want to thank you for spending this time with yourself. If something resonated with you on this episode, sit with it. You don't need all the answers right now. You just need honesty with yourself. You're not doing this for anyone else but you, your experience. So until next time, just keep going within. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. Share it with a friend or family, a loved one, and pass on the message, because there are people who really need to hear this. Okay? So share, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining today and lending your ear. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you. Ciao.
I'm going within today. You're my mind, I'ma be okay. A little love goes a long way. So I'm going within today. I'm going within today. You're my mind.